quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the
Welcome back, everyone, to the Lionstone podcast. Today, I am joined once again by Matthew.
Hello.
Hello.
I was waiting for the music to start.
Oh, sorry. And then we are joined by a special guest, someone that I haven't seen in maybe 2 years. About that?
Yeah, about
that.
Yeah.
And you...
You're allowed to speak.
Yeah.
First
Speak
one.
only when spoken to.
We are joined by Rick Boundy.
Hi guys, welcome to being on the podcast. It's first podcast experience.
That's
and,
good.
Mate, awesome catching up with you boys and keen to get into it.
There you go. Now
Terrific.
I can hear you.
Terrific. So let's chat about first. We're going to kind of go everywhere today. I want to go over like programming, what we agree on, what we disagree on. Same with Matt. Some of your travel stories, because you're a bit of a nomad. And then we'll kind of just go wherever. Well, he is. He's a bit of a nomad.
For some reason, I thought that meant something else.
No, it means he just goes everywhere.
He's a bit of a no man. Do you want to go somewhere? No.
That's me.
Take it.
Yeah, it's you.
That's me. But let's start off with how you two met. Because
Yeah, that was
I messaged
pretty-
you on Instagram one day. We went for a session.
That's it,
And then we just
Caroline
caught
Springs.
up. But yeah, exactly.
That's
Yours
it.
is a little bit
Wait,
different.
so
though.
you slid into his DMs?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know how.
And I approached him in a cafe. Are we both trying to date him?
and here I am.
And we got him locked in a room now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so well, I was living in Queensland, then I moved back, and then last year I went back for a week, right? And then I was coaching whatever, and I was like, I'll go work from a cafe, I'll go work from Social Brew in Burleigh. And I'd followed you on Instagram
Yeah.
for a couple months, whatever. I think through Mason or whatever. And I saw you sitting there, I was like, I don't normally walk up to people and introduce myself, but I'm fucking gonna do it. So I walk up, you were doing check-ins, and I walk up, I was like, Rick, and you're like, oh, Matt. And I was like, oh, he knows me. No, fuck, I'm not a fucking weirdo. And then we ended up talking for like, I'd probably say it was like an hour and a half.
I was so stressed that day trying to catch up on check-ins.
He was.
He's like this fucking Matthew,
He was doing that thing, you know, when you're talking to someone and they're like trying to get back to their computer.
And you just kept.
No, we had a good chat.
We had a good chat.
Yeah,
But
that was good.
yeah, we were talking all things like training and just like traveling around as well, because
Yeah,
you've been
yeah.
back and forth, because you go to Asia and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, yeah.
I think you were getting ready to go to Thailand.
That was when I was just about to go. I actually hadn't made the move just yet, but
Yeah.
that was like very, very
Yeah,
close to
that
it.
makes sense,
And that
that
was in
makes
those
sense.
sort of like early stages, second guessing, like, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? What's going to go on? And yeah,
So-
man, we had good chats about like our old experiences through coaching
Yeah.
and things like that, which was awesome.
For sure. And then here we are, what, 18 months later?
That's
Longer
it,
than that?
man.
Maybe longer.
That's it.
Yeah,
No,
probably
it's like
longer
2
now.
years.
Yeah, yeah.
Surrounded by some beautiful monsters. and caffeine.
Some beautiful monsters that you can actually get to. Cheers.
So let's start there. We'll let's talk about Thailand, because you've been to Bali and Thailand. You've lived in both places, right?
Yeah, Bali and Thailand, they're my two favorites. I did a little stint to Vietnam, but Bali and Thailand are the spots for me for sure.
Why what about those two places you enjoy the most?
Everything about the lifestyle over there, the pace, the people, the community, and just the lifestyle that I live. Like, all I need is caffeine, a gym, good sun, good Wi-Fi so I can work,
Yeah.
and I'm happy, man. And when I am over in those places, I just feel very calm and very at peace. And just being surrounded by so many people who are just so beautiful and lovely and warm, it's just good.
Yeah.
I
So
just
the
love it,
exact opposite to Melbourne.
I mean, Melbourne's a little bit faster paced, I'll say.
Yeah,
that,
Big time.
But that's it. But yeah, it's just you really get a feel for what really matters in life when you're surrounded by that. Like, I'll have a day where I might be a little bit stressed about something, and I could tell I've got a face on. I'll be walking down the street, potentially looking a bit grumpy, and then there'll be someone on the side of the road, and they'll literally just be like, "Hey man, like, how about you?" And
Yeah.
I look over, and they're like someone who's probably working for, $1 Australian a week, and he's like content as, happy as, and then it just pulls you up straight away. So
Yeah.
just the perspective being in those countries, and I love Thai food too.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, you make a good point. Like, you don't realize until you go to those countries where they're living with like just absolutely next to nothing, and there's constant problems. There's not enough jobs. and they always seem to be way happier than people here.
Community,
Yeah, family. Yeah, very big. Like when
Thai food.
Thai food. Yeah, I'd be happy to Thai if I lived in Thailand with
Yeah.
Thai food. I went. So this is when I think Reese and I went the first time to Bali. We did one of the like the tours where they like you get on one of the bikes and you just kind of like ride around and there's a tour guide follow you everywhere. He was like, oh, we'll show you a traditional Balinese house. I was like, all right, cool, we'll go there. And he's like, oh, this is my house. And I was like, wow. And he's like, his whole family was there. We got to meet his family and have a chat with his family. And he would fucking do that here. No one's be like, oh, I'll show you a tradition.
You did that to me.
Did I?
Yeah. When I first joined Lionstone, we were here.
Yeah, because you were thinking of moving out this way.
And we were setting something up and you're like, I'll show you my house. And we just drove past and he's like, that's my house.
Sliding in my DMs.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight to the house.
Pat's taking me to his house.
Yeah, because you wanted to move like this side of town. I was like,
Yes,
well, this is what you'll get for this kind of rent. And then you said, fuck that. I don't want to live there. I'm going to
pay double and I'm going to get it the fuck out of Point Cook because it's disgusting.
No, mate, my area is sick. All right, cool. Whatever. We'll move on. But yeah,
Why the salt in the coffee?
Why the salt in the coffee?
Why the salt in the coffee?
Well, I don't even know where it really started, to be honest.
I don't even know why I do it.
To be honest, I'm just riding with it now.
Right.
because It tends to like piss people off big time.
Really?
Every time I put on my story, like I put up a post on something that's like super useful in regards to like programming on nutrition, traction compared to like me putting salt in my coffee. It just tends to piss people off massively. So I actually had this when I was in Thailand. I usually would say I would only have like a barista coffee. And I had a friend who's like, man, I'll just have the instant coffee. I'll just put salt in it. It tastes exactly the same. I was like, okay, cool. I'll give it a go. Tried it. It was sick. And I used to be one of those guys. I don't know if you guys did it when I was younger. And I'll get like half a teaspoon of like Himalayan pink salt before training. Shot that. And then shot it with the pre-workout as well. And then I just sort of put 2 and 2 together. And I like personally salt the crap out of everything already. So you probably could not name one thing that I don't put salt in.
really? You just love it that much. Would you put it in Monster?
I have put it in the monster before. Yeah,
That's dirty.
I have. With the green one specifically.
Sorry. So we got the wrong one.
White,
Yeah,
white
right.
can stay as is.
I went to like Brie and I went to the coffee shop that we normally go to, and I saw it on your story, and I was like, she's seen it as well, and she's like, that's fucking weird. I'm like, you know what? I'll try it. So I tried. I don't know if I messaged, maybe I messaged Reese about it, and
What's
I said,
the verdicts?
and I was like, yeah, it tastes pretty good, but everyone in the coffee shop, even the barista, looked at me like I needed to be in a fucking institution somewhere.
That's one thing I like about it as well. So it's almost like a challenge when I ask the barista, can I please get some salt? Because it's almost like doing something that's very uncomfortable. I know I'm going to get rigorous. I know people are going to be like, what the fuck is this guy on about? And usually they'll end up like asking questions and then I'll explain like, oh, it could be benefits for like hydration because of course hydration isn't just water intake. It's obviously an electrolyte balance and also pre-training, you know, increasing blood volume can help with the pumps. And that's what I usually push it as like, it helps with the pumps, which is like,
that makes a lot of sense. I like that now.
Some days it helps with the pumps. Some days it's an icebreaker.
there you go.
Have you tried? Because like when I went to Thailand, I made it a mission to try all of the foods that they have in like the 7-Elevens there. Because 7-Eleven there is very different to 7-Eleven here.
Oh, they
even
hit
get me
different. They are very different.
Have you been to Thailand before?
Yeah, I've been like 4 times.
Oh yeah, okay. Well then I didn't know that.
I mean, who's asking?
But yeah, they I tried the pizza, like the pizza that you can just buy and they'll microwave it on the spot, like the sandwiches that they have, the little jaffle things that they just microwave behind you. But even the coffee at 7-Eleven there is like good because it's made by someone.
Whilst we're on the topic of 7-Elevens, have you been to Japan?
Never.
Okay. Have you been to Japan?
I'm going on March the 1st, andVe heard the 7-Elevens over there are next level.
So if you think Thailand is good 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven in Japan is like, I never need to go anywhere ever again.
They're all
you can
about
buy like a
convenience.
cooked chicken breast. Like you can just get a chicken breast.
Oh.
No, once you see it, you're like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, right.
But what I've seen, it's actually like good sushi, not the sushi.
It's
like
like
7-Eleven sushi.
You would get what is the triangle thing called? It's not a nari. Like it's like rice with like a little bit of seaweed around it.
Don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, you can
Can't
get
have
them, and they are so good.
Mm.
But like the thing is, with 7-Eleven in Japan, it is cheaper to buy food at 7-Eleven than it is to buy it at a supermarket.
Right.
So like you can get vegetables, you can get everything from there. It's insane.
Because I suppose that they're so busy that like having the convenience of a 7-Eleven where you can
they
buy all
are
your stuff.
absolutely everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
right.
everywhere, and they're called. If you really want to get technical, it's called a combini.
Because it
It sounds
Convenience.
very nice
Yeah,
on the
right.
microphone. I
Convenient.
like that.
Whereabouts are you going in Japan?
Just going to Tokyo.
Fuck yeah.
How long are you going for?
Just a week.
Yeah,
A
right.
week. Because I was going to come back from Thailand straight here.
Mm.
I've always wanted to go to Tokyo and just thought, I'll go for a week, check it out, see what's going on, and then be back for comp seasons here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
terrific. I think that's definitely on my list of places to
I
go.
want to go back now, to be honest.
Yeah.
I actually have a good friend, I'm not sure if Dean McKillop.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he sent through like a list of like all the best coffee spots to go, all the best food spots he ate. So
The coffee
Very
in Japan
keen.
is next level.
perfect. I wasn't
Like-
even expecting that.
You think coffee in Melbourne's good? Watch someone
love it, Japan.
meticulously make a coffee in Japan.
Because they probably care over there too.
They give a fuck.
Really?
Yeah.
You talk about people who are like content with their jobs. Go to like a cafe or whatever, and you will see the highest level of precision taken
Yeah,
with
yeah.
your food, with your drinks ever.
Love that.
Because Dean did something similar to what you did, right? He completely like dissolved his like base in Melbourne, and now he's just traveling with his wife, right?
He was in Gold Coast, but
Yeah.
he now he's traveling around. He's currently in Mexico. I was speaking to him the other day.
That's cool.
Fuck, that's
Yeah.
mad.
I wish,
Yeah,
I wish
that's
I
it.
could do that. Maybe we just tell Reese that we're packing up and going on the road.
We'll just take this with us.
That's it. We're going, guys. See you later.
Bring all the tripods.
That's it. Yeah, all fucking 40 of them and all the cameras too. What was the biggest reason for wanting to? Because like when we met, you were just about to leave for the Gold Coast. What was one of the biggest reasons that you were like? Because you moved to the Gold Coast, I assume, for something different. And then what was like? Okay, well, I've had enough of the Gold Coast. Why did you decide to go overseas? Because you spent a good how many years was it overseas?
So it's been since about March last year.
Right.
So the reason is often a lot of the decisions that come in my life is not wanting to have any regrets.
Mhm.
And if I say that I want to do something, it's only a matter of time before I do it, because if I say something and put it out there that I do want to do this and it doesn't happen, that does not sit well with me.
Right.
So I often have a situation where it's just like, if not now, when?
Yeah, fair.
And I just thought, why not give
Cool.
it a go? And I locked in originally. It was only supposed to be 1 month in Thailand. That was it. I just wanted to see if I could do it, because I used to always watch like YouTubers and think like that would never be me. And there was actually a moment when I was about a week in to being a personal trainer, and I was doing a business mentorship group, and they talked about vision planning. And I remember I was stressed out, obviously starting out doing 14-hour days in the gym, just worked 3 jobs just to get myself on the gym floor to be able to PT. And then I basically wrote out where I want my ideal life to be, where do I actually want to go with this. And I remember just writing down, like, I'm going to live in Gold Coast, I'm going to live in Southeast Asia, I'm going to be working with a bunch of amazing clients, doing what I love. And when I wrote it down, I thought, I don't know how this is going to happen. But then it just seems like everything in my life, all the good things, all the bad things, all pushed me in that direction. And when it actually came true, it was just like, it was just amazing and just felt right. So I always just try to align my actions with what I say I'm going to do. So I tend to hold things close to my heart.
Yeah.
And if I do say something and I don't do it, that kills me.
Where do you think that comes from?
I think just the fear of just getting to the end of my life and not doing something that I wanted to do. Like, I've been in plenty of positions where I've been doing things, work jobs, careers that, don't align with who I am. And that feeling sucks.
Yeah.
So that's a feeling that I just tend to always want to avoid. And I think it just, with my values of, if I say something, that I'm going to go through with it.
Yeah, cool. And since you've like kind of changed your perspective on a lot of things, does that feeling of like regret come up often?
In what regard?
in any regard in life? There's still times that you say something you're going to do it and then you end up don't doing it or not doing it?
Oh, always. Like, I always set the goal of like, I'm going to aim to hit 5,000 steps a day. And more often than not,
5,000?
I don't. 5,000 steps in the morning. In the morning.
Jesus.
So,
Mate.
I'm not that much of an online coach. Yeah, so 100%. Like, I'm only human.
Yeah.
But like big things like that where like I put it out there and I'm like, yeah, I get the feeling, right? Like when I first went to Thailand or Bali, I was just like, this is me.
Yeah, sick.
Gym, sun, coffee, good food. You know, I can go for a walk any time of the day, not have to worry about wearing a raincoat.
How do you find training differs between Australia and like Thailand and Bali? Because it's a lot hotter over there and tend to not always. Some gyms have aircon, some don't. Like, how do you find that impacts your ability to perform and push yourself?
Make sure that the gym, because I've made this mistake before, has an aircon.
Yeah.
Because when I first went to Bali, there was a gym called Bull Gym. Awesome gym. Awesome gym.
Yeah.
Like good bodybuilding vibes.
Yeah.
Sort of like the Dohertys of Bali in a way. But it just had one big fan and that was it. And you would need at least 4 liters of water to drink like throughout the session. And that much like the Picari sweats and the coconut water.
Delicious.
And then basically because of that, I went to another gym because I made sure it's got an aircon because I'll be doing check-ins afterwards.
And just covered in sweat.
Just so fatigued. Yeah.
Was it Body Factory?
I moved to Body Factory, yeah. So
that's expensive as fuck, is it not?
yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. But one thing that I find is very good about that is you're surrounded by a lot of people who are, you know, doing very well in life and, you know, you are who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And you can justify it because basically what I do anywhere I go, so in regards to like the gym question too, where's the best gym? Go to AirBNB and then suss out what has a kitchen, what has good Wi-Fi, and I can walk to the gym. That's it. So I save a bit of money in regards to like where I stay at Body Factory, but it's right there. And I can hang out there and it can sort of feel like I'm staying at a 5-star hotel, but really I'm not.
Well, I suppose cost of living there too offsets the cost of the gym, right? It's so cheap there.
That's a question, or not a question, you didn't ask a question, but it is something that I see a lot of people get caught up in because it's like that mindset of like, oh, it's so affordable. Like it's so good. Look, it's usually this much for a meal. Now it's this much.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of people when I was over there actually have to go home because they got reckless with their finances and then they just end up splashing out and then so but of course if you are on top of it you can absolutely, you know, live a more, you know, affordable life over there.
You just manage your money well and just don't get sucked in by how cheap everything is.
And considering there's no monsters over there, like, I just don't spend as much money like in comparison. Like,
Do they still have those little gold Red Bulls?
they do. I've never tried them though.
Oh, fuck with them. They're like rocket
They're
fuel,
good.
man. They light
what
you
I've
up.
heard, man.
Oh,
That's
they
what I've
light
heard.
you up. They're the OG.
We spent, like Brie and I spent a lot of time in the supermarkets of Thailand, like because she's obviously celiac, so she can't eat gluten. So
Thank you for explaining what celiac means.
Well, you know, and you know, but some people who listen might not know. All right, it means like you can't have gluten. You're intolerant to gluten. So we're scanning everything on the back of the packet, and like I've got like the translator app that takes a photo and then translates it to words, and it says like fucking cow died of something as opposed to like, okay, I don't know what any of this means. So we're just going to run and see if it's got gluten in it and buy all like the tablets for the medication that the side effects of gluten cause. Just eat it and then take one of those just to be sure.
She just gets banana and water. That's all.
They had, surprisingly, they had heaps of stuff in Thailand that was gluten free.
Really?
Yeah. Like some of their noodles and stuff are all gluten free and it's all like super, super spicy and she loves it.
Yeah.
And
Whereabouts?
No, as in like it's like supermarket stuff. I can't remember the
like
name of
in
it.
like Phuket or like
Sorry, Phuket. Yeah. It was the big shopping center they've got there, right near
Like
the strip.
the massive one?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
don't know.
The one
There's like the Big C, there's Central.
that's the one.
Yeah.
It's Central. Yeah. They closed down one of them and they're building another one. Not. I don't know if you're thinking of the one with like the Gucci and stuff downstairs.
Nah, I was thinking of there's like the Big C, and then that's a big supermarket. You walk in there, and it's like you're in Costco.
Yeah, you
It's
walk
like-
through all the little like stalls out the front, and then you go into the shop. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one there. Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Oh.
They've leveled
Never
it up a lot. Like when I first got there, it was when it was like just opened up. It was like a ghost town in Phuket. It was
Yeah,
crazy
right.
because you used to go down Bangalore Road and just getting attacked.
Well, even when we went, it was pretty dead. Like
Yeah.
Bangalore Road, there was maybe 100 people, and they're like, "No, it never looks like this." And I was like, "Well, I'd hate to see it any other way because 100 people is too many people." Because weed's legal there now too.
Yeah, it's very weird. Like there was one morning I was actually going to the gym and it was like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And they were making brownies like on the side of the road. And I was like, fuck, they smell good. And then I looked over, I'm like, oh, what's that? What's that green stuff? It's like weed. And I just rocked out. I didn't even realize that it was legal there. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, no, it's legal. And then I look up and then you sort of start to look around. And when it used to be just like fruit shops everywhere or like
It's
the
weed
fruit shakes,
everywhere.
which are the best.
Yeah.
There would be like fruit shake and like a weed dispensary.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Yeah.
I don't know if I call them dispensaries. They're little fold out tables with 4 joints rolled on it. But
Jesus.
it's weird because I don't know why they would legalize that because you get shot in the head for every other drug there.
Yeah, Chappelle Corby's pissed.
Yeah. She's like, only if I wait another 10 years.
Damn that progressive nature.
It's like there's because what I watched was because the weed is so shit there, they get it shipped in from LA. So all the legal dispensaries, I don't think it's technically legal in Thailand. I think it's a bit of a grey area. They changed some law that makes it now semi-legal.
everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like everything.
So these legal weed dispensaries in the US are paying or getting charging $2,500 a kilo to ship that in legally into Thailand.
Yeah.
And now there's an Italian restaurant on the main strip there that does gluten-free stuff. So we're like, oh, we'll try here. And then the guys we're sitting at the table and hear some people rock up and the guy's like, food or weed? And they're like, weed. And he's like, oh, come with me. And he ushered them through the kitchen. They went up these seedy stairs at the back and to the dispensary upstairs.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's all over the place.
There's a I'm not gonna name drop too crazy. There's a cafe, a cafe/juice bar in Phuket on the beach, and you can get a fruit smoothie or you can get a fruit smoothie, and you'll be sitting on the beach, and the sun will rise and set and rise and set and rise and set.
A fruit and a vegetable smoothie.
Yeah, a fungi smoothie.
They it's a very interesting country, but I would definitely go back. I wouldn't stay in Phuket. We stayed in Phuket for 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's a long time.
I think that was a bit long there, because we didn't know where else to go. We were gonna go to Bangkok, but I heard that was pretty crap in comparison to Phuket.
It depends on what you're kind of trying to go for. When I went with family.
Different kind of holiday.
Different kind of holiday, but we still had a lot of fun.
That's it.
I'll never
it all
forget.
Depends what you go for. Sorry for cutting you
No,
off.
not an issue at all. I talk too much. But I still went to a ping pong show with my mum.
What a family experience.
It was
I love that.
disgusting. The military raided it whilst we were in there.
Oh, that would have made it a bit more exciting.
Just say less, bro. That's just Thailand to a TA.
That happens a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one we
The best fitness podcast.
yeah, that's it. We'll get to the fitness stuff in a bit. I got a question for you about that. But when I was in, we were driving one of the taxis and there was just this random police check block, like a roadblock, and they were just stopping. Obviously they were doing the only stop tourists and check their valid license. And one of them had this great big golden gun. And I was like, oh, that's some fucking, you've done some deals. And
His
that's,
prestige.
Yeah, that's when it happens when you shoot 100 fucking tourists for drugs. But yeah.
Jesus.
So when you do go overseas, because I know you're very, very big on routine, right? You and Mason are part and parcel in terms of routine.
Mason's definitely at the top.
Oh, you reckon?
Oh, yeah. Mason's a weapon at it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
100%.
Very, very militant with his routine. But do you feel like your routine changes when you're at home in Queensland compared to when you're overseas?
This is something I speak to people about all the time because although on my Instagram, I might make it look like I live a lifestyle where it's always at the beach and things like that. And it's definitely not the case.
Yep.
Wherever I am, my lifestyle and my routine is basically identical regardless of where I am because that's the way I've structured my day to work that suits me best from a productivity. Couldn't even
That's
say
the word,
that.
yeah.
And just an overall mental health, progress in the gym, etc. So yeah, so regardless, it's always basically the same.
Interesting.
What does that look like? What does your routine look like?
just listen to Andrew Huberman. You'll have it.
That's exactly what I was about to ask you
10
next.
minutes of sunlight as soon as I wake up.
Yeah, so basically that's it. Like wake up, do things that I don't want to do, like make my bed, have a cold shower, and then I'll typically have it stack. So I'll grab a big 1.5 liter bottle of water, and then like I said before, I'll try get 5K steps in on that walk, get sunlight in the eyes, and then one thing that I have done as well is delay caffeine by say 60 to 90 minutes. Basically, Andrew Huberman told me to do it, so I did it.
That actually does work. Yeah,
it
stops the crashing.
Game changer.
Yeah,
game changer.
Oh, does it really?
Stops the crashing.
Amazing. I used to wake up and literally just smack a coffee straight away.
Doesn't stop
And
me
then
from doing that still.
I got to fight it. That's why I have to go for the walks.
Yeah.
And then I found that I didn't have those crashes in the afternoon. It was amazing. But that's basically like, that's it. Like when I do my morning routine, it's basically go out for a walk, make sure I get sunlight in the eyes, make sure I hydrate. And then I try to actually avoid listening to any podcasts or music as well. I give myself permission to just basically let my mind run wild for an hour. So it's just me with my thoughts. I can get clear on my day, because I think a lot of people, they focus more on time management, which is nothing wrong with that at all. But I also like to focus on like energy management. So I find that just primes me for the day. Then once I sit down on the laptop, I've got my Monster or my coffee ready, my salty coffee, of course, ready to go. And then I just find I flow way smooth throughout the day.
Yeah, right.
That's a good point. Like that's a hunt. Like, you know, when you hear something, you're like, that's fucking true, isn't it?
Yeah.
I try and do the delay of caffeine, but I don't know. It's something about my routine is so rigid on that first coffee. It's not great.
No, I like literally like every morning it's get up, like shower, eat breakfast, get in the car. Usually the car drive to work is like first car drive is to the coffee shop, get out, pay for the coffee, get my loyalty points, get back in the car, drive to work.
Got to get them as loyalty points.
That's it. Because I used to coach the lady that owns the Ferguson Player.
Oh, really?
Oh, mate, that's an investment that's paid off. Big time. But then I like the idea of not having to listen to anything in the car. I do that the opposite way around. I do it at the end of the day, and it kind of gets me ready for getting home, figuring out what I need to do tomorrow. But I probably should start doing it in the morning. So I'm going to start trying that as of tomorrow. Figuring out
Tomorrow, Sunday.
Oh yeah, tomorrow's Sunday. Sunday's a different kind of routine. I'd get up and just get straight on the computer and play games.
The exact opposite of everything you just spoke about.
Monday. I'll start on Monday. Everyone said that. Monday. But yeah, I suppose the question I've got for you, when you're overseas, like you, especially in Thailand, I noticed it a lot in Thailand. Twice I fucking trained when I was there. That education and the way they train seems like it's from 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah. They're still in like the Jack 3D bro day. Yeah. Which is, but they do train hard, but it's like that thing, it's like you get the intensity and the training in right, cool, but then you just need that direction to be shown like where to go with that sort of perspective. But yeah, they are sort of like stuck in the 80s a little bit.
What do you mean by that? Like, what do you say? I don't remember.
Very like just old school. Everyone's like, you got to do your 5x5 barbell bench press before you start everything, or like just very old school mentality where like you and I would do like 14 sets of workout. Yeah. You probably do something very similar, but they're like doing 25, 35 sets of workout of just going
and
absolutely insane.
The BCAAs.
Yeah, okay.
All the stuff.
Got to drink it halfway through the workout and then the other half at the end.
Yeah. We've all done it. We've all done it.
Fuck, I used to drink BCAAs just because they were tasty.
Yeah, well, that's like
when I was roof plumbing, that was something that I did. Yeah, I would spend ridiculous money on
$70 for 30 scoops.
I think I was spending like 90.
Was it Extend?
The
grape
grape.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Reese has that.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
Why does he have it?
He mixes it with EAAs during his training.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I still think
He just likes cordial, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. The whole like the argument of like, I don't like when people say branched chain amino acids are useless.
Why?
I don't necessarily think they are. Especially if you mix them with EAAs, you're pretty much good to go. But like drinking them during your workout, probably redundant. But at the same time, to flavor water, I'll back it.
Yeah. That's why I said it's cordial.
That's what I say to clients. I'll be like, look, Like if you're hitting your protein each day, you probably don't need it.
Yeah.
But if you're like struggling to drink your water and you can't think of anything worse than just drinking plain water and you can justify the expense, absolutely.
Yeah. You could also just go and get flavoring that's like $3 a Coles and little squirty things.
That's true.
It's not the same
That's
though.
true.
It's I think it's the actual process of getting it,
Putting the scoop in.
scooping it, shaking it, stirring it, drinking it.
That
No, that's
placebo effect.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
100%.
doing something.
If
for
it's a
me.
placebo, but it achieves the goal, then is it really a placebo?
100%.
Well, that's what
That's a salty coffee.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they say in medicine is like the placebo is the best form of medicine because it's like if it solves the problem without actually having to give someone a drug,
It's huge.
It's far better.
Yeah. It's fascinating looking into that with the placebo effect, hey?
yeah, it's interesting.
It also shows how powerful the old nugget is.
Mind
Ooh,
is
yeah.
because
Big
like
time.
people report like, oh, I feel heaps better. I'm like, well, you just taken like that's what they used to do with hypochondriacs.
Yeah.
They would come into the doctors like, oh man, I'm dying, and the doctor would just give them a shot like an injection of water or like saline,
Saline.
and they'd be like, wow, I feel great. I'm like, well, man, you just got a little bit extra water in your system now.
That was actually Trent.
you feel terrific.
In saying that, actually, on the placebo, like you mentioned, of course, insane trend.
Yeah.
Lee Priest, he actually said something like that where he had a guy in his gym, a young kid, who said
watched
like
this
he
video.
wanted to use anabolics, and Lee Priest is like, he's not training hard enough, so no. But then he gave him like B vitamins or something, but told him it was like Anavar.
Yeah, D-bol or something. yeah.
He came back to him. He's like, man, like my lifts have skyrocketed. I'm so much bigger. I'm so much stronger. And then like, I don't know if he did tell him or not.
I don't know.
I think he
but
might have.
kid's
I think he
still
might
alive.
have. They were like
So then-
salt tablets or sugar tablets or something like that. Yeah.
So then that's like a key insight in regards to how powerful the mind can be. If you say like, this is working, which is like when we were younger and we used to spend all our money on subs.
Yeah.
On things we
But
didn't
it
need.
used to increase compliance for me. Like I used to fucking bang down OxyShred every morning, right?
Yeah.
I used to bang down OxyShred.
Strawberry
and be like, cool.
kiwi.
Oh, nah, guava.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
okay,
were Team Guava over here.
Team Guava.
Guava.
So
I apologize.
that's all right. We'll forgive you. So I used to bang down an OxyShred. I used to like eat a good breakfast, like a balanced breakfast. And then for the rest of the day, I'd be that little bit extra zippy because of the caffeine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I took my OxyShred, so I'm going to stick to my diet.
Yeah.
And that now has been replaced with, instead of taking OxyShred, I just weigh myself every day. Right?
Yeah.
So I keep it front of mind.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
I learned this not too long ago. If people weigh themselves every day, they'll lose weight without even like focusing on losing
You're
weight.
keeping a finger on the pulse.
Literally.
And it takes out the guesswork. And I always explain to clients, like, you know, as we know, we can fluctuate massively. Like one day, for some reason, you don't take a shit.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to potentially have all that food in your digestive system. You're going to weigh heavier on the scale the next day. But if you grabbed your weight each day, you be able to see the average across the week. You know, it takes out the stress, because then sometimes people will be like, oh, I'm scared of weighing myself, or like they don't like the idea of weighing themselves. And I actually say weigh yourself more, give that a go as
Exposure
opposed to
therapy.
one, because then you don't tie yourself to just one weigh in each week.
Yeah.
You can actually like remove the emotion around it. And like,
It's
like
exactly
you
what I
mentioned,
do.
like doing it each morning, it just like reminds yourself like that you're keeping on top of things.
There's two things that I do and I recommend to people.
Mhm.
If you want to lose weight, weigh yourself every day. We have the ability to track that with our clients. That it's a given, right? The second one, if you want to save money, check your bank every morning.
what I do.
Check your bank account every morning.
That's what I do.
Stole that from Hormozy. Thanks, big.
He's good, man.
Oh, he's
I like
fantastic.
him. I like
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
I definitely do the bank account thing because like I did this thing the other day where like value perception is fucked. Like I don't know if I spoke to you about this. Maybe it was Reese.
We
Like,
haven't spoken about it.
I was looking at like buying a game and I was like, oh, $45. I don't want to fucking spend that on a game. That's a lot of
game was
money. I don't know. It was just on Steam. And I
So,
was-
okay, value perception is low.
and I was like, all right, well, I don't want to spend it. And then I was like, well, I want McDonald's for dinner tonight, so I'm going to Uber Eats it. And it was like $35. And like, I was like, oh yeah, I'll happily spend that. And then I realized, I looked at it after and I was like, well, I could have had this that I could have had literally forever and I would have more fun and not felt shit for buying it. Or I could have had McDonald's for the same price and feel like balls afterwards. And I still chose McDonald's.
You fat fuck.
And it's like, I think people do that a lot, even with coaching. Like they see a price tag and they're like, oh, that's expensive. But then they'll go and spend the same amount of money each week on Uber Eats.
Or something that's negatively impacting their life, like partying every weekend.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
big one. That for me was when I first like got a coach. I was like, it was $70 a week. It was nothing. And I was like, oh, $70 a week. It's pretty steep. But like, I just said yes because I knew I needed a coach. And I was like, oh, let me look at my life for a second. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't need to buy like a 6-pack every week. Like, don't need to buy a 6-pack and Domino's. And I don't need to buy 12 Krispy Kremes. I was like, fuck, I piss money out the wall on shit that gives me fast dopamine. And then that was one of the big keys of me actually starting to take shit more seriously was delayed gratification. And
everything.
That's the game. That's life, I think. If you can pick things that will give you delayed gratification, you're going to be infinitely happier with the choices that you make.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you heard about like the marshmallow test?
Sounds like it's about me.
Yeah, we'll do it. So basically, I think they did a study where they basically had young people, I think they were kids, and they told them like you can either have one marshmallow now, and I'm going to probably get this so wrong. So
butcher the fuck out of it. Welcome to the Lionstone podcast. We do that all the time.
Yeah, perfect. I'll fit in perfectly. So, and then the ones that actually like, I've just gone all over the place. I apologize.
Yeah.
So they basically were told they can have one marshmallow now, or if they wait, they'll get 2, I think. And then basically they track these people's like life over a long period of time. And the ones that actually delayed like getting the marshmallow and then got 2, they actually seem to have like been more successful based on a perception of success just from like that, which I think is everything. It's like short-term easy, long-term hard. Long-term easy, short-term hard.
That's correct.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you think about it, right? You think about like losing weight. Like you could go for lipo. It's hard for 2 weeks. It's very expensive. You have to put out a lot, but it's quick, easy. So hard, easy, quick, easy. And you don't learn what you need in the long run to maintain it. You end up putting weight back on, all that kind of shit. Or you learn how to diet and it's hard for a very long time, and then it suddenly becomes easy, and then 100%. You can maintain it
and
forever.
then it just becomes second nature.
Yeah.
Nah,
terrific. I think that's a good point. I wanted to talk to you a little about your training because you fuck it. We'll just go down the rabbit hole of a little bit of like programming stuff and chat or fitness related stuff. At the moment, what does your training split look like?
At the moment, I've just finished up a mini cart where I've been dieting for 12 weeks.
Yeah. How much did you drop?
So started off, I think it was around 93.6 was my peak average across the week, and then got down to a low of 79.4. So I say mini cart, but me and my coach Joe was sort of like, didn't really run into much like negative diet related fatigue or anything like that. So we're like, we'll just tag a week on. We'll just keep tagging a week on. So it ended up being a bit more extended than a mini cart. But yeah.
Real quick there, you said you didn't come into much diet fatigue. What do you attribute that to?
I think just experience.
Yeah.
Experience and just clarity with my preparation of everything and not really stressing about things that don't need to be stressed about. Just keeping it simple and almost removing myself entirely from the outcome and just doing the process.
Do you think like the rigidity of your routine helped as well?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Interesting. Maybe I should get a routine.
You fucking idiot.
Maybe I should get a routine.
Of course you should.
Or a more rigid one that I like, that I don't start bending and breaking.
There's something inspiring about listening to someone with a we're not going to call it bulletproof routine because that's unfair. That's an unfair assumption.
Never true.
Exactly. But speaking to someone who has that lockdown for them, I think it takes trial and error for a long time.
Oh, huge.
Like, do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 27, just turned 27 in 2 weeks ago.
And how long have you been training?
I've been training since how long? This is the question everyone has to answer. I was like, I've been training for this long, but I actually started. So when I first lifted weights, I was 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you been paying attention to your routine?
My overall routine.
Everything. Yeah.
From a pretty young age, because I was like sort of forced to grow up pretty quickly when I was younger. So I'd say routine, like lifestyle routine, probably, but even then it's probably a bit later. Probably 21, 22.
So your routine at 21 and 22, does that look anything like your routine now?
No.
Exactly.
Way different now.
So like you've probably started in those 6 to 8 years or whatever, give or take, figuring out what works for you and making mistakes. What works for you? Making mistakes. What might work for 6 weeks, then doesn't work anymore.
It's a moving target.
Exactly. It's a moving target. And listening to someone who's gone through that it's inspiring. Like you're like, oh, I want to find a routine that works for me.
Yes.
But I firmly believe that people do need to go through that iterative process. Some people, it takes 2 weeks for them to figure it out. Some people, it takes 20 years to figure out how long, what that actually looks like for them. And it can change. And the fact that what the most impressive part about you is that it doesn't change where the location is, like for the most part.
Yeah.
Because even when I moved to Queensland, right, from Melbourne, lockdown, COVID, instantly had a perfect routine when I moved to Queensland.
Yeah, right.
Instantly woke up at 4 a.m. Everything is bang on, and I based it on the circadian rhythm. Like sun rose, my window would just like blare with sun. I was like, I'm getting the fuck up.
Yeah.
I was militant with my routine, and it stayed for the entire time that I was in Queensland. Didn't waver at all. Moved back to Melbourne, straight away back into cold. I was like, I'm not getting out of bed.
I think there's something to that with like the weather.
Yeah,
the weather. Every time I go to Bali, even if I sleep in, I still get like a sleep in there is like 7:30.
Yeah. And
like every other time I'm up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock, like ready to go do stuff, and I want to get out early because it's hot. Go get shit done.
Exactly. So when I moved back to Melbourne, I've actually really struggled in the last 18 months to nail down a routine.
It's definitely harder in Melbourne, I'll say that for sure.
And I don't want to just be like, it's the weather and use it as a cop-out and excuse. But if you are moving climates, there is things that you need to look at. It's not going to be as exactly what it was when you lived in the warm climate or like the early rising climate, because things are different. You're going to change and you're going to iterate and you're going to be doing different stuff.
Yeah.
So like that routine process needs to evolve as well.
A word that came to mind when you were saying that is rigid flexibility.
Rigid flexibility.
So
that's 2 words, mate.
All right, fine. I'll take that.
Sorry, mate.
I even called it and stuffed it up. That's so good. So basically, yeah, I think that's something where it's like, this is my routine, but not like, having a mental breakdown because you didn't have a cold shower one morning. I don't have a cold shower every morning. Yeah. Sometimes I don't stuff that. I'm just going to have a normal shower. But then like, if you do change location, just having that flexibility to adjust accordingly. And one thing I've found moving around is like the enjoyment with the chaos of adapting, because every time I go to a new location, it's like a week of just what the hell's going on, trying to work everything out.
Headless chook.
That's it. And then eventually things come out, and that's just like life, like we were saying before.
Yeah.
Short-term easy, long-term hard, short-term easy.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be a bit chaotic at the start, but eventually, if you just keep awareness, keep your finger on the pulse, things do even out over time. Yeah. And you get that confidence and clarity.
No, going back to Bali, do you think, where do you, out of the two, Thailand or Bali, where do you feel like you thrive more?
In what regard?
Like with your routine specifically, which do you feel easier to stay in routine at?
There's less distractions in Thailand for sure.
Yeah, okay.
Because Bali's like where I specifically live in Canggu, it's like a really cool community. It's so good for that. But because you got like so much going on there with like people it does make it a little bit harder to almost like isolate yourself, which is also a good thing. But regardless, I would say I probably found being in Bali, my routine was a bit better.
Yep.
Just purely because the street I lived in was about 30-second walk to the gym, and I could walk to the beach, and that was my morning routine, which is a beach walk, sun in the eyes, salty coffee.
Yeah. I think the difference between, something that I noticed, the difference between Bali and Thailand is everyone seems to be up early in Bali. Whereas Thailand, when I went out, it was just, everyone was like, there was no one there.
They start a bit later.
It was me on the street and that was it.
Hello, no one.
Yeah. Or I would they would have times open on the door, and we met this old guy in this cafe, and I'm like, this place is supposed to be open at 10. He's like, yeah, I'm in Thailand time, man. It's like maybe like 10:30.
See you at midday.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be an hour early or an hour later.
Yeah.
Like they're all over. That is probably a good takeaway that I learned from, like what I was talking about before with rigid flexibility. When I first went to Thailand, like I was so meticulous with everything, like so locked in, because I lived on my own in Gold Coast. I had, full control over everything, my food, everything.
Yep.
You go over there, you order a meal, sometimes you don't know what's going to come out, you know, and sometimes like you'll order a long black coffee and then a nice coffee will come out.
Yeah,
and you're like, okay, cool. So you sort of learn to like accept that that's just the way things are. And sometimes things don't go to plan over there.
With
sorry, okay.
I was just going to say something about getting your routine in check. I have this bit of a sadistic nature that when things are going well, like if the routine's good, like when I moved back to Melbourne, I was like, no, I need it to be harder. I can't live this easy. Do you ever find that? Like, do you find like
Big
you need to not self-sabotage, but make it harder in some regards?
I am like that with a lot of things where like if things are like too cruisy, I almost like have to set the house on fire or like just cause some chaos, because human nature, we thrive when we are like fixing and building things. And I can definitely relate to that for sure. And then if things are flowing too smoothly, I also am like, okay,
when's it going to happen?
Something's about to go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. When am I going to
like just enjoy
punched
this?
in the back of the head?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. What would you, because like obviously going to these places makes it a little bit more, even though it'd probably technically be home for you, it's a little bit out of home. What would be some advice you would give to people about trying to stay on track while, like, let's say for most people on holiday?
If they're away, one thing I would say is always just controlling what you can to the best of your ability. So I'm notorious that if I go somewhere for food, like I will customize to suit. And this is also because I live over there. If I was going somewhere for a week in a new country that I've never been to before, and if you did want to still stick on plan, like having the knowledge around nutrition, of course, going a protein focus, you know, making sure you've got a handful of veggies with each of your meals sort of thing. But I think just always being open to asking to have things customized to you on the nutrition front and keeping things simple. Like if I go out for breakfast, I'll go and get things that I can eyeball. I don't get the 47 ingredient dish that's like a pancake with all these sauces. I'll get poached eggs, sourdough, because I can literally look at
delicious
and a fruit platter always.
And a fruit platter.
Fruit platter always. Fruit with everything.
Mango
Salt.
sticky rice.
Oh, don't get me started on mango stick. That stuff's elite.
Carb heavy.
Yeah. So in regards to the question, it's like little things like I always bring my food scales with me.
Okay.
I'll always bring enough whey protein that it's going to result in me paying a lot of money to Jetstar because I've gone over my baggage. And then just being organized and ahead of time. Like oftentimes, even if I was going on like a day tour, I would still prep my meals the day before and then have them with me. And so that's one thing I do that helps a lot is I make sure that I've got a kitchen.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can cook my food if I like to. Yeah. Which I like that control. Gives me peace of mind.
Yeah. Right.
That's an interesting one. Like my girlfriend, she travels a lot for work, like multiple cities in a month kind of thing. And seeing her trying to figure out how to nail everything. And it's very big on location. So like getting an Airbnb instead of like a hotel so that you can get at least a microwave and a kettle, like that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Such a big thing that you don't think about straight away. And you're like, oh, I'll try and eyeball food and all that kind of stuff. But when your mindset is compromised because you're tired or exhausted or anything like that, it's so easy to pull a trigger on an Uber Eats or whatever. But it's so easy to do that if you don't have like I've just got some meals all ready to go. So like having that preparation, like when you don't think you need it, really pays off when you do need it.
I remember Mason talking about it on the podcast with you guys too, how he said like any new location he goes to, the first thing he does is go to the supermarket, get all his food sorted. And I'm very similar because like you mentioned, just so happens you're a big day traveling, you're tired, you're fatigued, you got nothing in the fridge, nothing in the pantry, you got no protein on you, you know, you're more likely to be compromised with your decisions. So making that organization, having things on hand definitely helps a lot.
Yeah.
Speaking of compromised decisions, when you do go off plan, depending where you are, what's your number one food in Thailand and Bali?
Number one food off plan in Thailand. Well, you've already mentioned it. Mango sticky rice.
Really?
And coconut ice cream.
Oh,
the coconut ice cream. But just any like the street food over there,
so
just like trying this because when I was in Thailand, luckily I was in a gaining phase, which was great because I was allowed to have one off-plan meal a week from my coach. So, but unfortunately, I'd go to the markets and I'd probably spend a bit too much time at the markets because you can just walk around all day.
Yeah.
And then in Bali's a tough one because actual like Balinese food's not like super tasty from what I've seen, but like in where I was staying in Canggu, the protein waffles at Motion Fitness Cafe, they do these sick protein waffles. They're elite. Yeah.
Cool. I'll make sure I'm going to write that one down. Easy. All right, guys. Well, Rick and I need to go do a training session for a video. So we're going to...
You're going to wrap it up so you can go train?
We're going to wrap it up so we can go train. Do you have any final words?
I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me on.
You're welcome.
And you guys are absolute legends and love to see the place. Keen to hit a session with you. What are we training?
I don't know. We'll have to
Anything
figure
that
out.
involves prime equipment.
Yeah, and not legs because I did them yesterday. But we'll see how we go. Other than that, Matthew, any final words?
If you enjoyed this podcast, like, share, and subscribe. Send it to someone who might enjoy it as well. There's a lot of good tidbits in here. So thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Next time. See you.
Bye.